Did Jinu really die? Or was the biggest secret of K-pop Demon Hunters 2 actually hidden in the finale? Because Jinu's sacrifice does not feel like a normal death. When the soul, Honmoon energy, Rumi's sword, and the demon world come together, a much darker possibility appears. What if Jinu's soul was not completely destroyed? What if his soul became connected to Rumi's sword, and his physical body is still in the demon realm, being held by the demons? Today, I'm going to tell you one of the strongest theories, in my opinion, for Jinu's return. This theory may not only answer the question of, will Jinu come back, but also explain why Rumi's father could be so important to the story. Because if this theory turns out to be true, K-pop Demon Hunters 2 may not just be a new war story, but a much more emotional, darker, and bigger journey built around reuniting Jinu's soul and body. According to this theory, Jinu's soul was not completely destroyed. At the moment he saved Rumi in the finale, his soul may have somehow become connected to Rumi's sword or to the Honmoon energy. But the truly dark part starts here, because if Jinu's soul is inside the sword, his body may still be held in the demon world. Jinu's sacrifice in the finale did not feel like an ordinary death, because that scene was not just the disappearance of a character, but also the moment where he chose what was right at the very end. Jinu was a character who came from darkness, but in the finale, he refused to stay on the side of darkness. That is why his death can be read not only as a physical loss, but as a spiritual transformation. The most important question here is this. If Jinu sacrificed his own existence to save Rumi, where did that soul go? Saying that it was completely destroyed feels a little too simple, because the story already takes place in a world built around souls, energy, demons, and protective powers. In a universe like this, a soul becoming connected to something else, especially an important object like Rumi's sword, could make a lot of sense. Rumi's sword is the key point in this theory, because the sword does not seem like just a weapon. It could be a symbol connected to Rumi's power, identity, and Honmoon energy. If Jinu merged with Rumi's energy at the last moment while saving her, then the possibility of his soul continuing to live through the sword is very strong. This could keep Jinu inside the story spiritually in the second movie, even if not physically. This idea also does not cheapen Jinu's sacrifice. Because if the second movie directly says, Jinu did not die, he came back, the emotional impact of the finale would become weaker. But if his soul is trapped inside the sword, that becomes something completely different. In that case, Jinu is still lost, he still needs to be saved, and his return becomes not an easy miracle, but a journey with a heavy price. The real big theory comes after the soul part. Let's say Jinu's soul really is trapped inside the sword or inside the Honmoon energy. Then what happened to his physical body? In my opinion, the strongest possibility here is that Jinu's body was not completely destroyed. That body may still be in the demon realm, being held captive in the world of demons. Why does this make sense? Because Jinu was not an ordinary character. He had a special connection with his demon side, his human side, and Rumi. A body like that would not be worthless to the demons. On the contrary, that body could be a weapon, an energy source, or a very powerful trump card to use against Rumi. The demons may have lost Jinu's soul, but they may still be holding his body. This creates a very strong foundation for the second movie. On one side, there is a soul that may be trapped inside Rumi's sword. On the other side, there is a body being held captive in the demon world. For Jinu to return, these two pieces may need to be reunited. At this point, the story becomes much bigger than the question of, will Jinu come back? The real question becomes this: how far can they go to bring Jinu back? Because this is not only about saving someone they lost, it also means Rumi facing her own darkness, the demon world, and her past. This is where the connection to Rumi's father could come into play. If Rumi's father is connected to the demon world, he could be the key to reaching Jinu's body. The person who knows the rules of the demon realm, how a soul can be connected back to a body, or why Jinu's body was not destroyed could turn out to be Rumi's father. That would turn him into more than just a mysterious figure from the past. This connection makes the theory much stronger, because Jinu's return and Rumi's origin would meet at the same point. While trying to save Jinu, Rumi could also learn the truth about her father. So the second movie could explore not only Jinu's return, but also who Rumi really is, and where her power comes from in a much deeper way. I think this kind of story would be a very natural continuation for K-pop Demon Hunters 2. The first movie ended with Jinu stepping out of the darkness and making a sacrifice. The second movie could question what that sacrifice truly meant. Can Jinu's soul be saved? Does his body still exist? Would Rumi be willing to go all the way into the demon world for him? One of the strongest parts of this theory is that it does not make Jinu's return easy. On the contrary, it makes it harder and more meaningful. Because if the soul is in the sword, the body is in the demon realm, and Rumi's father is the key to all of this, then this return would not be a simple comeback. It would become a major rescue and confrontation story placed right at the center of the plot. Of course, there is also a darker possibility here. If Jinu's body is in the hands of the demons, that body may not have remained untouched. It may have been affected by dark energy, changed, or used as something to control. So even if Jinu returns, he may not return completely as his old self. That would create a new conflict for the character. That was already what made Jinu interesting. He never felt like a completely good or completely evil character. His story was about someone trying to choose what was right from inside the darkness. That is why his sacrifice in the finale was powerful. But that sacrifice does not have to be the end of his story. Maybe it was actually the real starting point. If Jinu is going to return, I think this would be the strongest way to do it. His soul being inside Rumi's sword, his body being held in the demon world, and Rumi's father playing a key role in that return. When these three ideas come together, we get a theory that is emotional, dark, and also expands the mythology of the story. This would also protect the sacrifice in the finale, because instead of saying Jinu did not die, we would be saying Jinu was lost. His soul is not free, his body is not safe, and a great price needs to be paid to bring him back. If this happens, the audience does not lose the pain they felt in the finale, but the second movie gains a powerful door of hope. So in the end, my Jinu theory is this. Jinu was not completely destroyed. His soul became connected to Rumi's sword or to the Honmoon energy. His physical body may still be in the demon realm, held by the demons. Rumi and Hunter X may have to reunite these two pieces to truly bring Jinu back. And Rumi's father could be the most important key on that path. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to K-Pop Demon Hunters 2. As someone who loved the first movie, I have very high expectations for the second one too, because I think this universe is too strong to stay limited to just one film. There are still so many unanswered questions about the characters' pasts, the secrets behind Honmoon energy, the rules of the demon world, and especially Jinu's fate. So if the second movie does not only show bigger battles, but also explores these characters' inner worlds more deeply, I think it could be even more powerful than the first movie. But to be honest, one of the things I'm most curious about in the second movie is Mira's story. Because a very strong emotional story was built around Rumi and Jinu, but I feel like there is still so much waiting to be explored on Mira's side. Her past, her place in the team, her own fears, her own motivation, and maybe even a personal conflict we have never seen before could be handled beautifully in the second movie. I hope K-Pop Demon Hunters 2 gives more space not only to Jinu's return, but also to Mira's story. Now it's your turn. Do you think Jinu really died completely? Or could his soul still be living inside Rumi's sword or within the Honmoon energy? And if his physical body is still being held in the demon realm, how far would Rumi and Hunter X go to bring him back? Could Rumi's father really be the key to all of this? Or does this theory take the story to a place that is too dark? Make sure to write your own theory in the comments, because I'm genuinely curious to hear what you think about this. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because more theories, character analyses, and story predictions about K-Pop Demon Hunters 2 are coming. I'll see you in the next video.